Hello, I am Mert Yilmaz. Welcome to the new episode of the program At the Edge of Tomorrow, which we prepared together with Derya Aksoy, with research and contributions from Yasar Atolye. As you know, we are experiencing one of the greatest technological bets in human history. Billions, even trillions of dollars are being poured into the promises of artificial intelligence. But the truth is this: at the center of all this is a massive paradox. There is a huge gap between the grand promise that will change the world and the complex, often disappointing reality. Today we will discuss the exaggeration, the subsequent disappointment, and what is truly next in artificial intelligence.
The sentence from Harvard Business Review Turkey perfectly summarizes the moment. This technology is not suitable. While we take a break, the artificial intelligence development machine is working tirelessly 24/7. It constantly pushes forward. In other words, the speed is truly dizzying.
And here is where the real conflict emerges. On one side, there is continuous development and incredible investments. But on the other hand, as we will see shortly, most of these ambitious artificial intelligence projects in companies hit a wall. They produce no meaningful results. It's as if a revolution that stalls before it even begins. So, what is happening here?
All right, here's the roadmap for this explanatory video. We will start with the massive AI invasion. Then we will do a serious reality check with the GPT-5 story. We will address what I call the 95% problem. We will look at the conflict between humans and AI agents, and then we will focus on things that are truly useful.
Okay, first of all, rushing into gold. And look, ignoring the amount of money flowing into artificial intelligence right now is really impossible. The numbers, are almost unbelievable in size. Shall we start with the equipment? These are the picks and shovels for the gold rush. Tech giant Cisco has already ordered $2 billion worth of AI infrastructure for next year. That's twice their initial goal. Companies are building the foundations of the AI world at an incredible speed. And of course, investors are also making big money. For example, let's look at ARK's New Generation Internet ETF. This fund made significant investments in AI and has delivered an average annual return of nearly 23% for over a decade. Such performance truly creates a frenzy. But the next figure is really mind-blowing. In just the last 18 months, AI companies have spent over $500 billion. So, let's be honest, this is one of the biggest and fastest investment bubbles in history. But doesn't the question come to mind? What are we actually getting with all this money?
And this question directly brings us to our first reality check. Let's take a look at the launch of GPT-5, one of the most anticipated tech products of the year. Here, the hype train not only slowed down, but practically crashed into a wall. The disconnect here was truly incredible. On one side, OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman was praising the model as having doctorate-level intelligence. Expectations couldn't have been higher. And then the launch happened. User feedback, honestly, was very harsh. On platforms like Reddit, users labeled it as the biggest trash. People said it was shorter, more superficial, and to be honest, less accurate than the previous version. So, OpenAI's official statement was that it was just a technical glitch caused by a broken automatic switching system that failed to send tasks to the correct internal models. They hurriedly released an update to make the model warmer and more friendly. But for many, it seemed, a somewhat weak explanation. This situation indicated that just amplifying these things didn't automatically bring us the big leaps in intelligence that were promised.
Look, this isn't just about a chatbot. The whole GPT-5 story is actually a sign of a much bigger problem. It comes with a headache-inducing and frankly shocking figure affecting the entire corporate world. A recent MIT report revealed that the failure rate of AI pilot programs in large companies is 95%. Think about what that means. They just sit there without creating any measurable impact. This means that only 1 out of every 20 projects actually succeeds. So why? Why does everything fail? MIT research is quite clear on this. It's not technology. Failures are almost always related to us, people, and institutions. Here, we are talking about a significant learning gap, regarding how to use faulty integration tools with people's existing ways of working, and about budgets being spent on flashy sales activities instead of boring but highly effective back-office automation. And this very situation shows how unsustainable the entire process is financially. Do you remember the $500 billion expenditure we mentioned? The revenue returned in the same 18-month period was only $35 billion. This means the expenditure is 16 times the revenue. This is not a business model. It is outright throwing money into the fire.
So the issue is not just about money, but also an increasingly growing trust problem. This paradox of artificial intelligence is causing serious friction for companies on the human side as well. You can see this trust gap perfectly in a survey conducted by Workday. 3 out of 4 employees are completely open to collaborating with artificial intelligence. But when you ask them, what do you think about being managed by AI? Suddenly, this percentage drops to just 30%. The conclusion is quite clear, isn't it? We can accept AI as an assistant pilot, but we are not ready for a robot boss. And, this has real human consequences. Listen to what the CEO of Ignite Tech said. This software company, which has laid off nearly 80% of its employees to shift entirely towards AI, said, changing minds was more difficult than skill building. Wow. This single sentence summarizes the enormous cultural challenge happening here. The issue is not technology, it is psychology.
Is everything this pessimistic? Is there a way out of all these disappointments? Absolutely. And here we move from problems to solutions, because some companies are really doing this right. A truly important report by Boston Consulting Group re-examines the entire issue from the ground up. What they found is this: the real magic formula is not a better algorithm, but a better adoption strategy. Companies that truly derive value from artificial intelligence are those that put much more effort into their people and processes than into the technology itself. And Boston Consulting Group actually presents a very clear 6-step plan on how to do this. These include codifying these clear principles, being completely transparent about their impacts on employees, training your teams, starting with a few high-impact use cases, and creating these very critical feedback loops. Everything is about a human-centered approach to a technological revolution, and the same MIT research really points to a clear strategic choice. Take a look. Companies trying to build their own AI tools from scratch fail 2/3 of the time, but those collaborating with expert vendors and purchasing proven solutions are successful 2/3 of the time. The lesson here seems quite simple. Don't reinvent the wheel.
So where does all of this leave us? Has the AI dream died? No, definitely not. We just need to understand where we are in the typical life cycle of a powerful new technology. You've probably heard of this. The research firm Gartner has a famous model for it. And in this model, there is a stage called the Trough of Disillusionment. This is the lowest point, right after all the initial hype, where failures pile up and everyone becomes somewhat cynical. But here's the key point. This is also the stage immediately before the long, slow climb toward real and lasting productivity. So this AI stumble is not the end.
Actually, this is a necessary step, and it brings us to our last big question. Look, there is no doubt that an artificial intelligence revolution is happening. Money, talent, pure momentum. This is inevitable. The real question we need to ask ourselves is, are we building the right thing? Is it truly focused on sustainable value and helping people? Or is it just about hype and spending a lot of money? See you next week in the new episode of At the Edge of Tomorrow.